Ousama rankings that start off as a very emotional story. The viewers will go back and forth between laughing and tearing up. Bochi is a runner-up to be the next king. He is a kind boy who appears to not be too bright to those around him. He can't talk or hear. Despite those difficulties, the episodes show that there is much more to him than people think. Kage is a black blob and the last of his kind. He was born to a clan of assassins who do nothing more than kill. As a young blob, Kage questioned this, but his mom told him that's just the way it is, and that at least they behave like a family. Because they lead violent lifestyles, they all eventually get hunted down and brutally killed. Only Kage and his mom remain, and she had to sacrifice herself so her child could run away. She puts up a decent fight, but gets impaled and hung like a trophy. Kage ends up running into a different patrol squad, but luckily gets helped by two sympathizers, who hide him in a stuffed doll. Once the main patrol comes by and asks around, the little girl hiding him tells them that Kage ran into the toxic forest. As the patrol squad makes its exit, Kage sees his shredded up mother hung on a pole and screams in horror. The little girl tries to cover for him by pretending to scream herself, which manages to fool the patrol. They allow Kage to escape, but his sorrows are only beginning. Once at a different kingdom, he finds himself hungry and penniless. Out of desperation, he steals an apple but gets caught and beaten near death. Eventually, he is found by a criminal who feeds him scraps in exchange to help him steal. Kage would eventually grow attached to this man, despite that he is abusive. The man himself is impressed with how well Kage can infiltrate and steal things, but he lets the money get to his head too much and is an alcoholic. Eventually, the man finds a poster that is probably about the last remaining assassin being on the run, and turns Kage in to the authorities for money. Because Kage is a master of disguise behind the shadows, he manages to escape. Later at a bar, the man gets drunk and gets into a fight with another drunk. Unfortunately for him, this drunk stabs him in the chest and leaves. Kage is forced once again to lose someone he was close to, and the man doesn't realize until the end the bond he had, and how he abused and used Kage, and tears up before passing away. Kage is now able to survive on his own, and leads a life of thievery. I really enjoyed his backstory. The character design itself is a bit silly, but the character is written decently at least. He eventually runs into Boji and takes advantage of the little boy's kindness by making him bring him expensive clothing. Boji constantly returns to the kingdom only in underwear, and the people talk amongst themselves how this kid is a joke. Little do they know that despite Boji not being able to hear, he can read lips. Eventually, Boji's jealous and sad excuse of a brother Daida challenges him to a sparring match. To everyone's surprisement, Boji is able to dodge all of Daida's blows and starts lightly hitting him all over. Angry and frustrated, Daida becomes outraged and accuses Boji of fighting dirty. Boji's teacher then instructs him that he must exchange blows, and Daida proceeds to beat Boji with his wooden stick, as Boji takes it willingly. Kage looks ahead, having just escaped one of the high-class soldiers earlier, and realizes that he had taken a liking to Boji, and became horrified once more that yet another person he was getting close to could die, and crawls in and screaming for Daida to stop. Fortunately, another of the high-class soldiers stops the fight, and Daida smugly walks away as Boji is left critically injured. Once in bed, Boji thinks about what his teacher told him, and in frustration tries to pick up a real sword, but he is too weak and falls over. Kage appears and decides that he wants to stay by Boji's side, and the friendship begins there. Besides being beautifully animated, I really enjoy this story. You have a character who is misunderstood and looked down upon, even by his own mother and brother, but has incredible traits that begin awakening in him as he begins proving himself and his worthiness to be king, and a friend who grew up tragically and struggled to survive on his own. 2 episodes in, and I said that this is on the same level as Sakugan, and yet another potential for anime of the season. Thank you for listening.